Welcome back. You're still watching our special analysis of the union budget that was tabled a short while back and what the markets and corporate India has taken away from it. S. Nagnath is still with us. Joining us now, Kaushik Chatterjee of Tata Steel, Dinesh Kanabar, SP Tulsian and HP Ranina to talk about the market and taxation impact of what we've had to hear so far. Kaushik, MAT goes up and surcharge goes down. As a corporate, okay for you?
Yeah, I think he's been doing a balancing act in the sense that he also has to, I think the government has to get its revenue from somewhere. Also in terms of direction, I think MAT will kind of go out at a point in time where the DTC comes in. So I think the more critical part has been that the surcharge has gone down, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, how does life change at all for Tata Steel? Would it mean that your total tax outgo actually falls?
No, I think the tax outgo will fall not only on this account but because of the income tax depreciation on new assets, etc. So from a pure tax point of view, I don't think it's certainly going to be beneficial, not a very significant one, but I think overall, looking at from a sector perspective, it is certainly going to be better if all these investments come into play.
There's one sector, though, that may have been impacted a bit negatively by the excise duty hikes, and that's the cement companies. Manoj Kaur of JP Associates is waiting by with his analysis of the budget and what it had to deliver. Mr. Kaur, afternoon, this excise duty hike of 2% was expected, but it seems it may hit companies more in south than in north, though, for the cement space.
Well, good afternoon. I think one has to compliment our Honorable Finance Minister that in this challenging economic scenario, he came out with a very balanced budget, and lot of things. I think a lot of people already spoken about it, about how there is going to be extra expenditure on infrastructure, which will ultimately fuel the growth of cement, and definitely cement industry per se has been registering good growth. As you see, even in this financial year, industry has grown. So I will say it is a bit of a moderation of the stimulus which was given in 2008. From 12% excise came down to 8%, and now it is just brought to about 10%. And it's something which is fine with the industry, and we welcome a budget like this, which is taking care of spending on social sector and also having emphasis on the infrastructure expenditure.
Kaushik, would your margins be hurt? I mean, petrol prices go up by about 2.60 per litre from tonight. Diesel goes up by about 2.68 thereabouts. Coal prices go up by about 50 rupees per ton. Ultimately, all this is higher expenses. So margins get crunched across industry?
Yeah, I think there would be some cost push element, especially on the coal. But I think there are more on the demand side that may offset the ability to overcome this through revenue side generation. So I don't think that the margin will get very significantly hurt by across the industry. These are costs which would have anyway come through. And I think as far as the coal is concerned, which was a little bit of a surprise, but that $50 rupees per ton. But that's also not very significant to crush margins generally.
Mr. Ranina, there's more relief, though, on the personal income side. Has that come as a welcome move?
Yes, of course. I think the reduction of 50,000 rupees for a person earning up to 8 lakh rupees is a substantial relief. Nobody can doubt that. And that will certainly spur consumption. I think a lot of money is going to be spent on consumption. A lot of people are going to left with enough money to, say, repay their housing loans. Even the increase under Section 80C to the extent of infrastructure bonds, I think will help a few people. Apart from that, if you see the other provisions, allowing people to go in for presumptive taxation up to a higher limit, getting rid of the tax audit requirement, giving some benefit to NGOs who can now earn up to 10 lakhs and not pay any income tax because of the change in the definition of a charitable purpose. I think all these things are going to be very, very helpful. But I would still like to see the fine print, the finance bill, and what other provisions are made, for example, for any type of anti-avoidance rules being brought in, what is going to be the difference as far as tax treaties are concerned. That is still to be seen. Once that picture becomes clear, I think we'll have a much better outlook on the corporate tax structure and how it will affect them.
Mr. Dinesh Kanabar, you are also belaboring under the same disadvantage of not knowing the fine print. But from what is revealed, what's your assessment on how it will affect corporates first?
Before that, breaking news, petrol prices will be hiked by 2.67 rupees a litre from tonight. This was coming actually. In fact, there was an expectation it would happen before the budget, but it seems it's come in now. So no mention of the Kirit Parikh committee report, but petrol and diesel prices go up. By the way, just hours ago, the auto companies had already announced price hikes on many of their models, and that kicks off from midnight. So many companies have started moving, and the government has already, it seems. This should be very positive for OMCs, because a lot of news that came out from the budget was actually negative for them in terms of more duty burden, but at least there's some relief by way of a price hike.
Maybe you also want to pull up the bond market prices. I mean, this is hugely inflationary because diesel has also gone up. 2.5 or 2.6 on diesel is big weight on the index. Bond markets are not going to like this. As it is, there's a bit of a worry because the fiscal deficit, which was for last year estimated at 4 lakh crore, is now 4.14. So 14,000 further borrowing could happen. We don't know how they may have cash balances. But at the moment, that's also a negative they will belabor under. So whatever gains you have from future lower deficits has been eaten up. For the moment, the yields have gone up by 7 basis points. But Mr. Kanabar, you were telling us, how do you assess this for corporates in general and individuals as well?
If I look at corporates, I think quite a few things really. Some of those which the finance minister has mentioned, others which one has had an occasion to look at the fine print, though not completely. Kaushik did mention about the fact about the surcharge or the MAT going up. And I think somewhere in the line, this manifests two things. First is that there was a proposition in the direct taxes code that the MAT will be asset based as opposed to profit based. And the finance minister seems to be implicitly saying that he's not going to go down that path. That was an area of serious concern for most corporates, because the more you really create wealth, the more you are liable to pay MAT, which is not what corporates wanted, number one. Number two, I'm actually surprised at the increase in the rate, because if you look at the effective rate of tax which the Indian companies pay, it's somewhere around 24-25%. And if you have an MAT at 18% of the book profit, you really are taking away from that timing difference. And therefore, the original purpose why minimum alternative tax was introduced, which is to do away really with the anomaly of companies reporting high profits and giving dividends but not paying taxes, seems to be simply forgotten. And I think this is sort of one negative which I would look at. The second thing is a change in the taxation of non-residents, where a clarification has been put. And although it's a small clarification, I think it is going to impact several corporates, that if you get income by way of fees for technical services and royalties, even if you do not have a business connection in India, you would be liable to pay taxes in India. So you don't have a taxable presence, but you still have liability to pay tax, something which is, I think, a bit retrograde.
Okay, Dinesh, let me let you take that.